Well, it's no secret Joe Biden is a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, and the president-elect got emotional today as he headed to Washington, reflecting on his long journey to the presidency and saying farewell to his hometown.
And James Joyce was said to have told a friend that when it comes his time to pass, when he dies, he said, Dublin will be written on my heart. Well, excuse the emotion, but when I die, Delaware will be written on my heart.
It's going to be a very different presidency, won't it? Let's bring in ABC News political director Rick Klein and White House correspondent Kira Phillips for more. Kira, first, so what are we expecting from tomorrow's inauguration?
Well, first of all, Terry, as a fellow Irish man, Irish woman, how about James Joyce? I mean, throwing in the Irish poetry. How fantastic was that?
They're the best.
There you go. A lot of Irish poetry to quote from here on out, probably in the next 4 years. I'll tell you the one thing, Terry, and you covered Obama's inauguration. I know we're going back before Trump, but think about that inauguration and how historic that was. And remember the streets, Terry? You could not get a cab. You could not get on a subway. You walked for miles and miles and miles in the cold among just the throngs of people that showed up, just bombarded Washington, D.C. and outside areas to see that inauguration. It was historic. Well, Terry, it's the same thing here. It's historic, but the complete opposite. The streets are desolate. We've got 20,000 troops on the ground to make sure that there is no violence and this will be a peaceful transition. So I found that, I noticed that immediately. What a stark difference, right? That's the biggest difference that I have seen when I've thought about the 4 inaugurations that I have covered. But there is a similarity here to that inauguration that I remember during Obama's time, and that is this theme of unity. You'll remember his speech. It was all about unity, and that's what we're going to see tomorrow with Joe Biden. I'm told that the theme of his speech is America United, and that's exactly what he's going to focus on. He already started today by doing that. Tonight, he's going to have this memorial service at the Lincoln Memorial there at the Reflecting Pool, honoring the hundreds of thousands of people that have died thus far during this pandemic. He's asking cities across the country to light up their buildings, to ring the church bells. And then speaking of church, as you know, tomorrow, that's what he'll be doing. The good Catholic man that he is, he'll be heading to church, and he's asked leaders on both sides, both Democratic and Republican sides, to join him. And as we found out today, that's exactly what's going to happen. You can see Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, along with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they will be going to St. Matthews together. And then comes the swearing in, 12:01. He becomes president of the United States. And then we will have the historic speech regarding America United. And then after that, hopefully a deep cleanse, COVID cleaning of the White House, and he'll move into his new digs, Terry.
Well, he's got a job ahead of him on uniting the country, and Providence can be a lot of help to him. Let's go to Rick. President Trump, he's going to leave the White House tomorrow and leave town without even seeing Joe Biden, who's going to be staying right across the street in Blair House. Instead of the traditional passing of the torch from one president to another, Trump's arranged a military send-off for himself tomorrow morning, skipping the inauguration altogether. He's also expected to release the final list of pardons and commutations of his presidency. So, Rick, after considering pardons for himself and his children in the face of criminal investigations, we're now hearing that's unlikely. So how big of a deal this is going to be? Who are we expecting to see on that list?
Well, we're told upwards of 100 pardons could be part of that list. Expected sometime later tonight on the very last evening of his presidency. Some of them are kind of curiosities. Some celebrities. We're told the rapper Lil Wayne is in consideration. Sheldon Silver, a former New York City assemblyman and kind of a tabloid favorite over the years, also on the list. There's a lot of lobbying behind the scenes and actually in front of the scenes for the Tiger King, Joe Exotic. We're told that we're not expecting a lot of names with close political connections. The talk of people like Rudy Giuliani, maybe pardons preemptively for the Trump children or for Trump himself are off the table. But that is a large number. It's often that an outgoing president does this, and I think this president will stretch some boundaries in different ways by virtue of some of the people he's spending his time thinking about in the closing hours of his presidency.
Not his family or himself, as we hear, although you never know with Donald Trump. So, Kira, Joe Biden, in his goal to unite the country, has an ambitious plan for his first few days in office, but he also has that razor-thin margin, really, in both the House and the Senate. So what's first on his agenda?
Absolutely. Well, I'm told it's going to be immigration. And here's what's interesting, Terry. Two longtime friends, one even a childhood friend, all the way back from elementary school, both of them up for deputy secretary positions. So although they're not there yet, they have been good sources for me, full disclosure, telling me what is on the president-elect's mind, what he will be working on, and what's important to him. So two things. Yes, immigration, the obvious. We have been talking about that in depth. And what they told me specifically is that President-elect Biden plans to move quickly to undo one of Trump's most cherished agenda items, and that's introducing an immigration bill that would allow millions of immigrants without legal status to become permanent U.S. citizens and give them the right to pursue citizenship after an 8-year wait. They made it clear to me that this administration wants immigrants to know that they are welcome in this country, and he's going to do everything he can to push that theme forward. In addition, they told me a number one priority, stopping the construction of President Trump's $15 billion border wall.
Well, he has to get that done through Congress, both of those issues. So, Rick, look ahead at the political train for him, including President Trump and his family. What kind of role do you think President Trump from the outside is going to have, and how do you think it's going to be impact Biden's presidency?
Well, Terry, he continues to have just widespread popularity inside the Republican Party. Our poll with the Washington Post just last week showed 60% of Republicans think that the Trump path is the one that should be continued. Now, that's different once he's an ex-president. And in the bully pulpit and the platform that he enjoys now is going to be diminished, not just because he doesn't have Twitter or Facebook or YouTube to communicate, but because he will be a former president. And he won't have the same opportunity to communicate. But he still will be a major figure, as will his children and his extended family, and many of the celebrities that have been coined by virtue of their connection to the Trump orbit. There will be many Trumps out there, some of them with that last name, Trump, who will continue to potentially dominate Republican politics. But the Republican Party is going to have a series of decisions to make about how it goes forward. The prospect of this impeachment trial is another potential kind of breaking point for Republicans. I expect that the party is going to come a little bit further apart before they can come together. There is talk about maybe a third-party movement growing out of the embers of Trumpism, maybe a MAGA party or a Freedom Party. But Trump is going to be a major figure. I think, though, the events at the Capitol 2 weeks ago have diminished talk about his political prospects in 2024. He could be eliminated from consideration entirely by punishment if he's convicted of impeachment in the Senate. It's also just possible that Republican voters essentially move on and that the Republican Party essentially moves on. But he's going to be a force, and the fact that he's going to be in the conversation in those early hours and days of the Biden presidency, I think, just speaks to that.
It is going to be interesting to see that post-presidency for Donald Trump. Kira Phillips, Rick Klein, thanks very much.
Thanks, Terry.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.